Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of Root Beer Library, where we wear the frothy stash. Today we are going to be tasting Red Arrow root beer. I'm your host Matthew. Let's pop this top and get into it. Alright, so let's get into this. Today we're going to be tasting Red Arrow root beer, and Red Arrow root beer has a little bit of a history. Let me go and read this to you. Red Arrow root beer originated in Michigan and is known for its authentic root beer flavor, made with hints of wintergreen and licorice and a spice kick to pull the full flavor together. Folklore says that Red Arrow came from the Red Arrow or 32nd Infantry Division of National Guardsmen from both Michigan and Wisconsin that fought bravely in World War I and II. Due to this honorable history, Red Arrow has become a very popular name in the Michigan area. The name has been given to many landmarks and establishments. There's even the historic U.S. Highway 12 that has recently been renamed Red Arrow Highway to honor the men of Red Arrow Division. Well, whether this is actually named or was named in regards to the Red Arrow Division or not, I just want to personally thank the servicemen of Red Arrow Division that fought bravely in World War I and II, and also just want to thank our servicemen currently that are serving, as well as, and more importantly to some degree, their spouses and their children. I think that gets overlooked far too much. I'm getting on a soapbox here, I apologize, but I think that gets overlooked a little too much, is in the sacrifice that those men and women make for their spouses, and that what those kids go through, and the sacrifice that they do so that we can have freedoms to enjoy things like root beer. But that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about Red Arrow root beer. Let's go ahead and pop this top and taste this and see what it's all about. I love the sound of that, don't you? That and this, that. Oh, I do love that. So today we're tasting one root beer today, and I've got my two favorite mugs, my Chiefs mugs. Go Chiefs. They lost yesterday in the first preseason game. Patrick Mahoney looked okay. We'll see. We'll see if getting rid of Alex Smith really made sense. There's my football talk. Unfortunately, as the season goes on, you'll hear more about that, and yes, it will be Chiefs derived. Love you guys, but I'm not using that mug today. We are going to go ahead and go with the Cheers Boston mug. I wish I could find a Chiefs mug that was designed like this. That would become my favorite mug of all time. Let's go and pour this. So as we pour this, we should be noticing if there's any fizz to it. And really not much of a fizz, kind of a flat. I don't know what to say. It just really didn't. There wasn't that fizz or that bubbliness that you would expect from a root beer. But again, that's how this one is particularly made. Color is very nice and dark, deep color. Definitely has a really nice root beer smell to it. Labeling, take a quick look at labeling. It's pretty generic, but I kind of like that. It's got a retro feel. This is something you would think of from a World War I, World War II era. Would be a label like that. Pretty simple with a touch to flair, I guess back then. But a simple label, simple brown bottle. Nothing wrong with that. Like that. I like the color in this. Again, it's nice and deep. It's kind of like black in the middle, and as it gets to the edge and gets a little light, it's got a caramely color to it. Really looks good. Definitely has a nice smell. When smelling beverages, I'll just use that word because it could be wines, could be beers, could certainly be root beers or sodas or any other thing that's going to go in a cup. You want to get your nose in the cup, not where you're grabbing all kinds of other stuff. You want to get it in there and just be like, really get that in there. I believe when doing tastings, especially with root beers or red wines, and no, I'm not a red wine connoisseur or anything. I have a couple that I happen to like. I've never gotten into red wines heavy or wines in general heavy. Root beers and sodas as a kid, we played this because we liked the wine thing My parents were into wine, so we played this role as if it was wine, but we did it with root beers and sodas. And what you're seeing here, I absolutely did as a kid, without the camera, of course, and lights and all that other stuff. But we used to play this, and that kind of honestly drove my love for these things, and I would taste them, and I used to dive deep into the things that I would do. You should have seen when we played War. That was a whole nother, wow. I know, I'm getting on tangents today. But man, this smells really good. Let's give it a little bit of a taste. Kind of smell that winter mint in there. Let's go ahead and read the ingredients before we jump into tasting it. Carbonated water, of course, some cane sugar, natural artificial flavors, caramel color, phosphoric acid, extract of wintergreen and licorice. So that's in there, and sodium benzenite. So there's some natural flavors in here and some spices. They're not telling us specifically what those are, but most companies don't. It's got a good smell. Something that I may do different, I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of people doing root beer reviews. I know in wine, you normally don't swallow, you just spit. I like to swallow the first little bit with root beer because we drink it. So I want to know what that after flavor is, that aftertaste, if there is one. And with this one, there's a little bit of an after flavor, but not really, not like a solid hardcore. Like right now, I really can't taste it anymore. And I guess with maybe sugary, I don't want to say sugary ones because this has as much sugar as any of the other ones. And we'll make that a guess. Why don't you guys guess? I'll throw up 3 numbers and you guys guess as to what you think the sugar content is in here. But there's really no aftertaste with it, which is good and bad. I like a little lingering aftertaste, that sugariness. I don't chug it as much that way because I'm enjoying it. Let's see, the Jones soda has kind of a cotton candy flavor that lingers for quite a while. This one I just want to keep drinking it because I want that root beer flavor. I want to smell it, I want to taste it. But there's no aftertaste to it. And if you're not big on aftertaste, that's a plus for you. I happen to really enjoy the aftertaste as long as it's a good sweet aftertaste or a nice spicy aftertaste. Things with 0 sugars, I hate those aftertastes. But this one, there's just nothing, which is kind of a downside for me. I'll spit that one. As much as I love root beers, considering I'm trying to do these every single day, I'm already fat enough as it is. Can you imagine? Whew. Could be ugly. Again, just no aftertaste. I mean, it's got a good smell when you go down. It's got a good flavor when it first hits my palate, but then it's gone. So that's a downside for me, and there was really not a whole lot of fizz. I want to see bubbly fizz. I want the froth, man. I want to wear a frothy stash. And I know that comes more when you've got ice cream in there. You get that really nice froth. I don't think this would do much of that. And when we do a root beer float episode, which will come, we're going to bring this back and we'll try it and see what happens. But right now, it's kind of, the downsides for me are flat and no aftertaste. Upsides is it's got a really nice color, really nice smell to it. And then again, if it's named after, you know, Red Arrow and the Red Arrow division, that's an upside for me. Just got to say that. All right, so there you have it for today. The Red Arrow, not a whole lot of fizz, not a whole lot of aftertaste, but it's definitely got a good smell. It's got a good flavor. It's kind of borderline for me. I'm not going to knock it and say don't get it. I'm not going to jump and rave about it. This is kind of middle of the road in my opinion. Not a bad root beer. but not an over-the-top root beer for me. So thank you for watching this episode. Please don't forget to like and share and leave comments below, things you think we could do better, root beers you'd like us to go ahead and review. Also, let me know, what's your favorite root beer? That's the question of the day. And stay tuned tomorrow for episode 5 when we do Sioux City root beer. We'll be taking a look at this tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to like and share. We'll see you tomorrow.